Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action once again here from a very dark and wet SPA-Francorchamps for the, I believe this is the 7th week of the season. We're coming to the business end of the season. We're coming to the very end now with only a couple of rounds left to go. Here, Spa, then we head down to Kyalami, then Kota, and then we finish things off in Donington Park. But we are here for our final night race of the season, and what a night's worth of racing that we have ahead of us. A much smaller grid, as you can see, but obviously with the release of the new PMR this evening, we did expect drivers to be less interested in racing here tonight. And I'm just going to keep my opinions about the game to myself this evening. But we are live and we are here ready to go racing at one of the most famous circuits in the world. We're here at Spa-Francorchamps. And regarding the championship standings, it looks like... sorry, someone just messaged me privately on Discord and I didn't want to read that. Right, the drivers' championship standings looks like this. It is Kieran O'Reilly who leads the way with Silth in second. Third in the championship is McGowan with the Monster in that P4 position. P5 is Post with Schwarbert in P6. P7 is Skunky and P8 is Hibbs. Kowalski P9 in the championship with Wilbrink leading silver and in P10 overall. Flop is in 11th place with Mezin in 12th, Harris in 13th with Varga in 14th, Nugamanov in 15th with Zdanov in 16th. Miger in 17th with Ramsel in 18th. Matt Wright is in that 19th place position with Marsden leading bronze is in 20th. Crespo 21st with Aberdeen in 22nd. Gillies 23rd with Lee in 24th. Shorowski sat in 25th with Jacket in 26th. 27th is Anderson, 28th is Smith Parrow in 29th, and Radek in 30th, still mathematically in the championship, but will probably be out of it after here. Cox in 31st, then Johnson, Millington, Crack, and that is your drivers' championship standings. Regarding the teams, looks like this. MSA 505 points out in front, ahead of the casuals in second place. Third is Apex Motorsport with 4 going to Autobahn United. Only side is sat P5. P6 is Kazakh Racing, while P7 is Greasy Bandits Racing. GBU Racing sat in P8, while 9th place goes to Manix Racing. P10 is SimPlay Racing, while P11 is Team FBGB. Soldor Racing sat 12th, Quantum Motorsport in 13th, Billy No Mates in 14th, and Bakken Motorsport in that 15th place position. Those are the team's championships, and that is a quick roundup of the season so far. Regarding tonight, we are here at Spa-Francorchamps for the next round of this season. And I said, what a night to look forward to. We've got rain in the air for the M2s here for the Whodarron Cup. And whoever is new to the championship, this is how the championship works. We have got 3 sprint races here this evening. The first race, all races will be 20 minutes long. No pit stops required at all. Only thing that changes, obviously, is weight for the championship leaders. And obviously the only other difference is the practice sessions, qualifying sessions for each one. So for example, we go into tonight with the top 8 in the championship carrying success ballast. That includes Kieran O'Reilly carries 40 kilos, 35 for Silth, 30 for McGowan, 25 kilos for DeMonster, 20 for Post, 15 for Schwarbert, 10 for Skunky, and 5 for Hibbs. So those are your championship weight added. And currently no MSA this evening. Silth has declined, I know that for sure. And I believe there's no Skunky either. Those two would have been on a qualifying ban, but neither are here currently at the minute. It is this man who's currently on screen who is fastest of the session so far. And Hibbs right now looking good. So Hibbs looking at the pace at the minute, but obviously the track is damp, so the wet conditions are starting to dry out here, and it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Guys, let's hear you in the chat. Are we a fan of SPA-Francorchamps, probably the most famous Belgium circuit? Obviously the next closest is probably Zolder, but the most iconic, I would say, F1 circuit as well. Who was that that's gone off? I believe that was Marsden, who just had a moment further back as we're on board with Hibbs. The monster, though, looking to continue his pace, looking relatively strong here at the moment. Currently second at the minute, 6/10 off. But obviously, a lot of the guys who are currently out on track right now are going to be finding that the track is gripping up, it's getting faster, and it might be a dry line starting to appear. But in 30 minutes, going into the first qualifying session, it might get wet again. So weather is already affecting some of these guys. I nearly selected me, the commentator, but you won't be able to see me because I'm not there. But it's nice to see a lot of you in the chat. We've got Tips, Gary, Clarbel, and we've all got Berserker as well. I don't know why it's come up at certain names, so that's not really going to help me very much to know who's in the chat. So that's a good start, YouTube. But yeah, looking forward to a good night's worth of racing, especially for these M2s, a circuit that it's quite long for them, and slipstream is possibly going to be a big factor in this. The other thing to look out for as well is obviously the qualifying sessions, the way that will work. Obviously the first qualifying session is 10 minutes, so plenty of time to get around, but with this track being as long that it is, and that it's wet as well, it is 2:45 set by Hibbs. So in 10-minute sessions, that's already a quarter of the session gone just to do an outlap. And with the length of the pit lane as well, luckily most of them are at the end of the pit lane, but the way that's going to work, obviously, it's a lot longer pit lane and a lot longer circuit. So by the time they do get around, it's going to be tight. Now, going into the final laps here at Spa, it's 7 minutes for the qualifying session for qualifying 2 and 3. So, again, that's half of the session gone by the time they get around to start a lap, which does offer them the opportunity of possibly 2 flying laps. So, it is doable. There's definitely a chance for 1 and 1 only, and that was the whole concept of this qualifying session. So, 7 minutes is quite a bit of time, but you want to make sure that you do get the session spot on. We're still on board with the monster at the minute. One of the only few cars out on track currently at the minute. Let's go on board with Ramsel, who's going through Eau Rouge and Radion now as we speak. Goes up the hill. And I think that the key to this circuit is precision and just being patient, especially in the wet weather conditions. And you need a decent car underneath you. Going from experience, especially driving the Lexus, it's all well and good having the power. It's a very good car in a straight line. And as you can see, there's a lot of straights, there's opportunities for the Lexus to put its power down. But that middle sector is so crucial. The downforce in there is important. And for these M2s, obviously, it's not going to really factor in too much, but it also depends if the drivers have set the cars up in that certain way. Obviously, being a lot lighter, being a lot smaller as well, they could set the car up so it could be great down the straights, but terrible in the corners. Or it could be really good in the corners, but very heavy, and it could be really terrible on the straights. So it's down to the drivers at the end of the day to decide how they set these cars up and what's the best approach. They can get rid of the toe, make the car as straight as they possibly can. The same with the camber as well, make sure there's as much contact to the tyre as possible. But other than that, there's not really much differences they can make to the car. They're quite basic, they're quite simple. And for a circuit like this, you either go one way or the other. You go full downforce and full corner pace, or you go for the straight line advantage. But we'll see what happens when we get into racing. Kieran O'Reilly did confirm to say that he was racing tonight. Currently, he's not in the session at the minute, but he has got a nice buffer. He's got 223 points to his next championship rival, which is Silth, who isn't also racing here tonight either. So both at the minute, you're quite a comfortable gap away from the rest of the pack. To put it into this concept, is Kieran O'Reilly not racing here tonight is 327 points ahead of the third place driver, which is Ian McGowan. So he's trying his very good, his best to hunt them down, but at this rate of knots, it's not going to happen. They could easily just put their feet up, relax for a bit, and come back at Kyalami. after hopefully not losing too much track knowledge and too much physic feel after racing at on PMR, if anyone is using them. Varga in the chat, good oily mixed conditions, yay. And yes, that's what we like. I think the worst thing, especially in racing, you can either have one or the other. You can have a session where it's completely dry, or you can have a session where it's completely wet, and you can kind of know what you're setting your car up for. When you're in a situation like here where it's either damp, greasy, or mixed, it's incredibly difficult to know where to go with the setup wise. Again, like I said, a lot of these cars are pretty basic, they're pretty simple. You don't need to change very much to the car to make them adaptable to most conditions, but it is always handy as well. So it's down to the drivers, based on feel and feel alone, to decide what is best for them going into this night's worth of racing. So currently on board with Anderson, who sadly last time out missed out at the previous round, but he is back once again on circuit. And Only Siders looking good as the Monster finishes the session fastest overall. And we'll see if he's able to continue that pace up a little bit later on. Matthew Duffin saying he's loving it. Varga, but we all agree it's funnier this way. It is funnier, but it's also chaotic. As we now go into the qualifying session, and away we go. Hibbs to the front of the group, and he will get out on track first. And it is damp, and the rain is meant to continue. It's then going to dry up towards the end of the session, but it is going to stay damp. So who's going to get the best of the damp conditions? That is the question. As Hibbs leaves pit lane, and you can see already the spray coming from the back of the car. I believe for the rest of the week, it is looking dry for the Pro-Am and Pro Boy. So they don't obviously get the icy conditions here of 7 degrees. It should actually be a lot colder than that, but obviously ACC won't allow us to get to that level. Otherwise, Pro will be looking at -2 degrees. Let's just put it that way. But they are now out on track. And like I said, it takes it's 2 minutes 45 for them to do a fast lap. Now, obviously, you've taken the first half of the lap a little bit shorter because the start-finish line is towards the exit of the bus-stop chicane, and you start halfway down towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. So, in this case, Hibbs was the first one out. The session started. It should be -2 and snow. Let's not talk about the night race snow and -2, shall we, Matt? Because, yeah, that was a stressful championship. But, yeah, Hibbs was the first one out on track, and it's already 8.5 minutes still left of the session. A minute and a half. Usually you'd be starting your lap right now. Most of them would be starting a lap when you're at somewhere like Red Bull Ring or Monza or Zandvoort or anything like that. They're only now coming to the end of Sector 2, and there's only 2 minutes left of the session. So, yeah, it's important for these guys to really nail it. Because if they mess up this qualifying session, then they are in serious trouble. They will have a lot of work to do. They don't want to damage the car. It's wet. Tonight is a night where you need to get a banker. You won the championship here in the night in the snow. Yes, I did. It wasn't really snow, though, let's be honest. It was just sludge more than anything. But Hibbs is now coming to the bus stop chicane. And like I remember, guys, we do have a 7-minute qualifying session going into race 2 and 3. And right now, it's 7.5 minutes as they cross the line now. Now Hibbs has finally got around. Let's go on board with this man for a lap around this fantastic circuit here at SPA-Francorchamps. Heading down towards turn number 1, and make sure you get the front end turned in quite nicely. And once you get the front turned in of turn 1, then you want to make sure you have a nice smooth exit, and you want to make the shortest run possible to Eau Rouge and Raidillon. So you stay to the right hand side, get as close as you can to the wall, daring as close to the wall. If you play Project Cars 2, there was an invisible wall where you hit the wall, but then you head into Eau Rouge and then Raidillon. Daring as much as you can, and try not to take the track limits on the inside of the top of Eau Rouge. If you get that wrong, then obviously your lap is invalid, and that is it, waste of time, and you have to go again. So it's important to get that lap time on the board. Down the long back straight, heading down towards the tricky chicanes. Brake just before the curb on the left-hand side, get the front turned in, and try and take as much curb as you dare. Obviously, in the wet conditions, you want to stay away from the curb because it'll unsettle. It'll make the rear move too much, and then you turn into the right-hander, so then head down towards the downhill section. As you then head down towards the downhill section, a really tricky braking zone. You want to turn the front end. You have to be so incredibly patient because the hill just keeps going down and down and down. The car wants to step out as soon as you possibly put the power down, and then you come up to the corner, which is known as No Name. Turn into the left-hander and make sure you get a good exit. Very easy to run wide and get track limits. Heading then down to probably the most famous corner, the second most famous corner here, which is Pouon. A double apex corner, get the front turned in, very easy for the car to understeer and go wide, and as it goes wide you want to then try and tuck it back in to then set yourself up for the next S's. So far so good. If you're on a good lap here, you brake into the S's, drop down to third, possibly second gear to get the car to turn in, and you want to make sure you kind of late apex the corners and push it right to the limits. And you see there Hibbs not touching the curbs at all. A couple of rivers here, as you can see on the right hand side, third gear corner, and again in a GT3 car you'd be right out onto the curb, but Hibbs just being cautious of those curbs into the right hander and then down towards the long back end of the circuit. Here in a slipstream, this would be the ideal time to get into the tow and try and catch some cars, but in this case there's no cars to tow here at the minute for Hibbs, and he comes up to the fast left hander where Verstappen famously went around the outside of Nasser and then had him into the bus stop chicane, and I think Hibbs has probably invalidated his lap as he then comes up to the bus stop chicane, brakes, and make sure you get the front to turn in, make sure it doesn't understeer, make sure it doesn't oversteer either, and to set himself up for another lap here, because it's clearly giving himself an invalid lap time here, and he's going to cross the line to not set a lap, because I'm pretty sure that was track limits, and it was. Is anyone going to set a lap? Because Flop is on a line. Schwarbert does, and he does a 2:44.9 as the rain now stops. Ramsell gets a lap time on the board. He's currently 1.6 off the pace as well. Wilbrink also getting on the board as Harris gets within 1 second of Schwarbert there. We're still waiting for the drivers to come to the line. Flop now is coming to the line. Myga goes P3 with that one. McGowan goes P6 as Lee goes now P3. And like I said, a lap time on the board is what you need. Harris straight to the pits. It's going to take us some time. It's about nearly 3 minutes to get out. So Flop crosses line, and that's it. Him done as well. So a lot of time for these guys to really try and get a lap time on the board. Anderson is on a lap. Crespo we're on board with now, as he now exits the final corner of the bus stop chicane. What is this going to be for him? It's 10th place, and again, lap times are important here. Just get one on the board. That's all you need to do right here and now. We are now looking at Aberdeen coming to the line. He crosses line. He goes P8 with that one. So P8 for him. Then we have the 40. Sorry, is that 95? That is the 95 of Anderson, who's currently on a lap. Berserker with the hands up and GG. Don't. It was a terrible, awful night. I never felt so anxious in a race. It was actually horrible. Anderson, though, comes into the final chicane. Although saying that, and the guy I was up against called Andy was very, very quick in the dry and had no chance, as Anderson doesn't set a lap time. He was very quick in the dry. Oh, he does, sorry, he goes 11th place for that one. He was very quick in the dry, but when it came to the wet conditions, he did struggle a bit. My McLaren 650S was much better, as Varga goes extremely wide and invalidates his lap time also. As Marsden also goes a little bit wide, but possibly he's on an invalid lap, but he's not set a lap yet. So it may or may not be invalidated. We don't know. So to come up towards the bus stop chicane. Who's it going to be? And Marsden in the wall, as long as he doesn't make contact with Hibbs, who hasn't set a lap yet, and he could do with not being hit, and Marsden has to return to pit lane possibly, and that will be his session done, I think, as Paro's back in pit lane. He won't get out in time, as here comes Hibbs. Is he going to go fastest of them all? He goes second, so Schwarbert's lap time was very, very impressive. Did he improve? That is the question. He does not improve. Harris did manage to get out again for another lap. Ramsell goes up to P6 as Wilbrink now goes up to P3. Track is drying and getting faster. Post now goes up to second place. So lap times are coming in thick and fast. Keep an eye on De Monster as well. Maiga now goes to P5 with that lap time. As I see a jump on the board. That is Lee. He goes now second overall. And it's going to be last man to cross the line, I think, because the track is drying and getting faster and faster as each lap goes by. Ian McGowan not set a lap time yet. De Monster, I know, was coming to the line. And he's only 8th, so he was quickest in the end of the session, but only 8th so far for him on this one. But Schwarbert's first attempt there was an absolute banger of a lap time, as Varga still yet to set a lap time. Marsden doesn't set a lap time either. And here comes Crespo into the final chicane as we speak now. Oh, that is Harris facing the wrong way. But hopefully he gets himself facing the right way, and we'll be able to get one more lap. But his preparation to the lap is going to be a bit rubbish. But 1 second off the pace. If the track's that dry enough, you can find that time. Oh, no worries, Berserker. I do like to do a little bit of a tour of each circuit just to get an idea of what we're looking for and what is the ideal perfect lap around this circuit. I say perfect. I'm far from getting a perfect lap anywhere these days. But it's always nice to see the view of what the drivers see anyway. Anderson just crossed the line. He stays 14th at the minute with his lap time. So he does get one more lap. These are final lap times now. And Varga is on the limit. He has to find that time. No lap time on the board currently for him. So can he find a little bit of time? And there, I think that's him done. That is his. I think if he stayed within track limits, I'll be amazed. But I doubt it. Here comes Varga to the line now. What is it going to be? That is the question. Did he invalidate or did he get away with it? He's to the line. He got away with it. P14 for him. As we now wait for the rest of the group to come to the line. Schwarbert, meanwhile, is still on a lap. Currently fastest overall at 44.9. What's it going to be? At 44.6, he finds 0.3 of a second. Can anyone find that time? The 666, that is Maiga. And into the bus stop chicane he comes. And to the exit he goes as well. He's currently 6th at the minute. Has he found any improvement? He has not, and he stays where he is. The 664. That is Ian McGowan, currently 10th at the minute. Is this going to be an improvement? It is not. He stays where he is. The 33, that is De Monster at the minute. Currently sat P8. I believe Harris is back in pit lane. He is. De Monster only P4 with that one. Still a second off the pace. As you now wait for Flop to cross line. He goes 9th. And goes ahead of Harris as we now wait for the 105 of Smith to complete the session. 7.7 pace at the minute. Crosses the line and he finds the 10th at the end of the session. So your gold driver on pole is Schwarbert. Your silver driver will be Lee on pole position for the silver class, and for the bronze it is Anderson with a good qualifying session to his name. Betty Varga in the chat, 2.4 hour of Spa, hashtag never forget. I have forgotten, I'm afraid, so Varga, so you might have to re-jog my memory on that one, because I'm not sure what you're referencing there.
What about the night qualifying? You worried about that?
So a 20-minute race ahead of ourselves very shortly. As hopefully these guys won't be too... Yeah, I've been put to the back of the pack. There is a gap there, though, from where I didn't qualify. I am doing the rain dance, says Anderson in the chat. Gotta love a good rain dance. I love a good rain dance. Let's have a quick look at the grid order for this one. So it's going to be Schwarbert who's going to start on pole position ahead of Lee in that second place. Post starts third with De Monster in P4. Hibbs will start P5 with P6 going the way of Wilbrink. Maiga will start P7, with Harris in P8, Flop P9, with Ramsell starting in P10. McGowan down in 11th place position, with Gillies in 12th. Aberdeen in 13th, with Viger in 14th. Anderson 15th, with Millington in 16th. Crespo 17th, Smith in 18th. 19th will be Marsden, and Parrow bringing up the rear. Sadly, McGowan didn't manage to get the jump that he needed regarding the championship, because it would be good for him to try and score some good points to try and bring that gap deficit down to the MSA boys. But first qualifying session, not gone his way. So we get things ready to go racing once again here. Can we see pit stops? You can have a pit stop if you want it, but it's going to be a very, very long pit stop. Possibly if it dries enough. It is. The track is wet. Oh wow! This should be a very interesting race. Track is wet, but if you guys look to the right-hand corner of your screen, you can see the weather predictions, and it's dry. There's no rain currently. The track is wet, but it's no rain. It's not raining currently at the minute. So the track could dry before the end of the session. We got more rain coming in 30 minutes. So that could be 10 to 30 minutes. So it could be 20 minutes from now the rain comes down. It could be 15 minutes and more till the rain comes down. So if these guys clear enough water and make the track drier, right now is not the time to go on dries. Right now it's a pure wet circuit. Guys in the chat, possible dries enough or gamble and start on the dry, says peaceful. Defo wets. It's definitely a wet circuit right now. The only time you would possibly think about dries is if the circuit went greasy. Now we've got a long lap to go around, and obviously with the race still being delayed until they cross the line, who knows? This could be an opportunity for a news race winner as well. Let's have a quick look of who actually has won this season. So I see a lot of yellows in one position. So Mezin this season has already had a race win himself. Kieran O'Reilly is another. Then it's been Silth and O'Reilly pretty much for the rest of this season. There hasn't been another race winner since Mezin. It's been pretty much O'Reilly or Silth. So it's too cold and dark to dry in the time. Says Silth in the chat, and I see you in the chat, Silth. Shame you're not on the circuit, my friend. Definitely it's too dry. Too wet and too cold. Silth, as the old saying goes, Clarkson special, watch this. If anyone gambled dries now, they're fools. They're absolute fools. It's definitely what we would call a sutty strategy. To those who don't know what a sutty strategy, an old driver of ours called Sutty Apex decided to gamble on dries for a qualifying session at a Sugo race, I believe it was, in Yakora, and the track did start to dry out eventually, but it was still pretty much wet, and out of nowhere he put it on second place. So a gamble that sometimes works but not all the time, and I think he went backwards from there onwards. So it's definitely not dries for this, but we see how this goes for the rest of the session. Obviously it will get damp, the track will dry up a little bit, the track will get quicker, and the guys will get more confident, but if they go offline, they're definitely there. A few lads have gambled on dry, says Tips in the chat. I think they're fools. It's like Sil says, it's too cold and too wet. Tips, can you let me know in the chat who? Even Hypertext in the chat saying, oh, interesting. This is going to be a spicy race for sure. I'm sure we will find out very shortly. We will indeed. If anyone's gone dries, they're crazy. I mean, we can even look at the back of the pack to see who's actually made it around in one piece. Yeah. this should definitely be an interesting one. But it's Schwarber and Lee who's on the front row. We will have the opportunity of a new race winner here tonight, but who's it going to be? We have 3 races ahead of us. Who is going to take this one? As it's now waiting for the starters' orders here. A long wait here for this. Oh, of course, it's on the other side, isn't it? Hypertext say gutted. I'm not racing these. McGowan on slicks. What the hell? That will get through a Rouge on one track. Oh my god! If they're on dry, it's like mad. Right, now we're through turn 1. As we've just lost Lee. Lee's just been disconnected and he was on the front row, so we won't see him going into turn 1. That makes Schwarbert's life a little bit easier, but we now wait for the starters' orders here for the first race at SPA-Francorchamps. And we are green and go, racing here at Spa, and a decent start obviously for Schwarbert as the Monster and Post now fight for position as they head up towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and up the hill they go. And McGowan, I think, has gone for that gamble on slicks and he's giving Gillies a little bit of a shove, but there you go, there he goes, he's around and he's hit Gillies. Who else has gone off? That is Smith off, and oh, there's all sorts of carnage towards the back of the pack. I believe that is Aberdeen as well, who's been involved in that. Whoever's gone slicks, yeah, that was not a good idea as they head up towards the far end chicane now, but Schwarber getting the start that he would have wanted. De Monster and Post are having a good little fight, but they got Hibbs right with them as well. Yeah, all sorts of carnage at the start of this race. McGowan straight back to the pits. Gillies has got going, but has not crossed a sector time just yet. But we are away and racing here. Schwarber getting the start that he wanted, and off he goes ahead of Post in that second place position. The Monster currently sat P5 at the minute as well. Sorry, not P5, P3, because Lee and McGowan are in pit lane as they will go through these sector times. Kane's in the chat, evening all. I see you in the chat, my friend. As I was expecting a lot of people to be on PMR, but probably not after they've had a quick go on it now. So probably wishing they were racing the M2s instead. Slicks aren't the move. No joke. But Schwarber with the best start. Post now starting to build a gap on the Monster. What else is going on? There's a few cars struggling for grip. Anderson got a little bit wide there and struggling to keep the car together. As you see Anderson there going around the outside. I think that is Flop. So I don't know if Flop has possibly gone for the slick option. Track is still wet, so if they were on slicks, they were never going to survive anyway. Gillies has already caught the pack. He's already passed Marsden already. But everyone already pretty spread out at this moment in time, except for this gaggle of cars. Ramsell and Harris and Ramsell going at it. For us, watching the slicks was a main move. You watch, the track would dry up incredibly fast randomly, because, you know, that's how physics sometimes randomly works on these games, and these guys come flying through. But I doubt it. Maiga now comfortably ahead of Wilbrink, but he's got Harris and Ramsell for company. Varga on his own. So after the first lap, it is Schwarber who leads the way and fastest lap, ahead of Post, ahead of the Monster, and then ahead of Hibbs. The top 5 rounds off with Maiga, and then Wilbrink in 6th, Harrison in 7th. Harrison, I don't know why I said Harrison. Harris in 7th with Ramsell in 8th. Varga is going to come through in 9th with Millington in 10th. Anderson currently 11th with Flop in 12th. Struggling at the minute with Cresbo in 13th. Aberdeen currently 14th with Parrow in 15th. Smith in 16th with Gillies 17th. Marsden in 18th. McGowan in 20th, and Lee has got out on track. I believe, I don't know if we'll see McGowan or not. He's currently still in pit lane unless he's got major damage to the car, and he's just obviously waiting to repair that. It's already through the first couple of minutes of this session. As I said, we've only done one completed lap, and we've already got 16 minutes and 14 seconds left of the session. So Spa is a long circuit, and these guys already, eating up their time. They're already a quarter into the session, so it's not going to take long for the session to come to an end. So they've got not a lot of time to kind of build on this fight at the minute. The Monster, though, still giving Post a little bit of a hard time. Schwarber seems to be enjoying these conditions at the minute and pulling away quite comfortably. Turns out one of the heavier, like, wet races that we actually have turns out to be a night race, so that's even better. So drivers who have got who are on board, who are in cockpit, are going to be absolutely loving us here at SimPlay Motorsport. I'm just keeping an eye also on the top right of what the weather is doing. As soon as that changes to 10 minutes, we will see if it will be in the time that we are running the session, which will mean obviously the track will dry out, will get wetter. But Schwarber now comfortable gap at the minute ahead of Post, who's 2.4 behind at this moment in time. What we see there, I believe that is Wilbrink. Yeah, he's had a big moment, and here comes Harris now in the slipstream. And can he find a way through? That is the question. Oh, Harris takes a lot of curb and risky. But he's right on the back of Wilbrink. He's going to go to the outside of the bus stop chicane. He's then going to have the inside for the next part, and Wilbrink's just going to give him enough room, but Harris is going to be on that curb. Here comes Ramsell. He's now part of the action as well. And Ramsell and Harris are working their way past Wilbrink, and what a move from Harris. Good move there from him. Now Ramsell also getting past him as well, so both of those two moving their way forward. Maiger, meanwhile, sets fastest lap of the race as Schwarbert has had a kind of a bad run through there and has lost his gap. He's now 1.7 only ahead of Post, and he's taken De Monster with him. The track limits here will now definitely don't exist, especially in the wet. And a lot of the guys just trying to survive Eau Rouge and Radion, I reckon. Maiger, though, setting fast lap of the race as these guys all work their way forward. What else is happening out on track? Everyone else towards the back of the pack is relatively spread out as McGowan does get back on circuit, which is nice to see. And we see Smith and Parrow also going wheel to wheel. As they go through turn number 1. Towards the Eau Rouge Radion section, and Smith not the best exit, and Parrow pulling away. Meanwhile, the top guys are all still concertinaing up. They're trying to hunt down Schwarbert, but at the minute unable to do so. Hibbs just keeping in contact with the Monster. Maiger, though, looking pretty quick at this stage, and Harris and Ramsell quite a bit ahead of the rest as well, as Wilbrink has got McGowan lapped behind him. That risk for dries didn't really work, I don't think, for him, as the rain has disappeared on the weather forecast. So if you look in the top right, there is no rain coming now, so track could dry out. Could. Likely chance not, but yeah, we'll see. But Post is trying to bring that gap down, but it's actually lost time to Schwarbert, who's pulling away. The Monster, though, is currently right on the back bumper of Post. If we were looking at a track where it was drying out, then even in the M2s, it's a big risk because you've got such a long pit lane and it's such a long change. So it's 30 seconds for tyres, plus the time you would lose in the pit lane for being so long. It's not worth the risk. You might as well just keep the wets on no matter what you do. But in this case, it is drying out. There is no rain currently as the Monster's got his wipers still on. But obviously, he's sitting in the spray of the car in front. So he's obviously wanting to get some clean air and find a gap, as Anderson is now catching Millington. So that gap is coming down between those two as well. As Matt says in the chat, 92-second loss to tyre change. So yeah, that's what you would lose, and that's the time you'd have to get back, which is just not doable unless it completely dried out and the wet's blistered, which if we go on board with a De Monster, there's still no real damp line appearing either, as you can see. So the damp line isn't there, so you can still see the puddles, you can still see all the wet circuits there. It's just not worth the time. So they're just gonna have to stick it out on the the wet tires. Tibbs just still trying to stick to the back of these guys currently, but not able to do so. Maiga is actually closer to Hibbs than Hibbs is closer to the guys in front. So Maiga's flying. Schwarber sets fastest lap of the race now. And obviously each lap they go around, there's more water being dispersed, more water being moved out the way, and more likely for the guys to find a little bit more grip and a little bit more pace. But obviously the tyres will wear as well. I'm not sure how good a wet tyre, whatever tyre company is using these, but yeah, it disappears because now the rain shower is between 10 to 30 minutes, so it doesn't show, means the rain will only last 10 minutes or so. There you go. So that's why. Thank you very much, Sylph. So it's in that gap of 10 to 30 minutes, and right now we won't see that, as we see there, I believe that is Marsden being lapped. Yes, he is. I think he's possibly stopped. So he's probably on no slicks. We are halfway through this race, as Maiga is right now onto the back of Hibbs. And it's going to be giving him a bit of a hard time as they head down towards the bus stop chicane. That's the wrong driver. Again, wrong driver again. As we are on board with Hibbs. And through the kink we go. Maiga is looking very, very quick in these wet conditions. So probably going to see a move into the bus stop chicane. Up towards the chicane we go. And Hibbs there holds on to the position momentarily. Meanwhile, the Monster still brought that gap down to post. As the Monster hopefully looking to make a move on post, but is unable to do so. Harris now sets fastest lap of the race, so he's finding some pace and consistency out there. Ramsell obviously expanding the gap towards Wilbrink. Wilbrink looking a little bit more comfortable out there currently as well, so it should be interesting to see how those two get on. And Millington has extended the gap ever so slightly to Anderson as well. Was under 2 seconds and is now over 2 seconds, or still within that range, sorry. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out towards the end of this race. But Schwarber looking good and looking comfortable at this moment in time in front, with Post in second, the Monster third as we go past the halfway stage. Hibbs in fourth, Maiga in fifth, hunting him down. Harris fastest lap of the race to his name. He's currently sixth. Ramsell in seventh, Wilbrink in eighth. Varga having a moment through there is in ninth. Millington 10th, with Anderson in 11th. Flop 12th. Crespo in 13th. Gillies is pitted because he's got major damage, as now Aberdeen will improve on that one. So will Smith, Parrow in 17th, with Lee in 18th, Marsden in 19th, and McGowan to the back of the pack. So obviously Harris with the fastest lap of the race, and obviously as the time goes by, track dries up, lap times will come down, and that point will become more and more precious. Fastest lap will be offered to all as the track will get drier and faster. Obviously, if we had a lot more cars on track, the water would clear quicker. But as Still said in the chat correctly, it's too cold and the track is just not clearing fast enough. These cars don't really think they're fast enough to clear the water anyway. So, yeah, we'll see how it all goes from here. Sure, they're looking comfortable out in front. Not as close as I thought these guys would be. Hibbs and Maiga, comfortable gap between them. Everyone else fairly spread out at the minute. We'll go on board with Crespo for a bit just to switch it up a little bit. But the gaps are fairly spread out down towards Harris back. So your top five really is your scrap at the minute. Just like I said, a moment to just look at other drivers while not a lot is happening at this moment in the race. But Schwarber looking very good out in front. Oh, as I say, that Post has a moment through the left-hand kink. I forgot what the name of the left-hand kink is called. I'm terrible with names at Spa, and sometimes I pronounce them wrong, and Matt laughs at me, so I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce some of them. But he had a moment through the kink. I am going to find out what that name is. Blanchimont. That's the one. Blanchimont. I thought it was something like that. Damage from lap 1 just made it impossible to drive. Wanted to swap ends every corner, said Gillies in the chat. So obviously big damage to his car. He's had to come in and repair that and possibly out towards the end of the race, hopefully. But Maiga, Hibbs, the Monster and Post all close to one another at this moment in time. Wilbrink and Ramsell kind of ebbing and flowing between the pace between those two at the minute. So 1 minute Wilbrink gets a little bit closer to Ramsell, another it doesn't. So we'll see. Meanwhile, Anderson catching Millington once again. That's ebbing and flowing also. But it's nice to see the drivers who did gamble for the dries have obviously come in, changed for the wets, and have gone back out, which is nice to see. Post, meanwhile, very slow to the top of the chicane section, and Schwarber takes that fastest lap back away from Harris. So, again, every point counts at this stage, including the fastest lap. And with no Sylph and O'Reilly either, obviously they will gain their drop score points back for this round for not being able to compete. But it's still an opportunity to gain points, and McGowan was the closest contender, and obviously gambling for the dries didn't quite work out the way he wanted to, and he's got a lot of work to do now. The Monster, meanwhile, really hustling the back of Post, possibly looking for an opportunity to get through here as they go through Pouon. The car will start to understeer as they come out on the exit, trying to put more power down. Post defends the inside going into the chicane, and as these two get a little bit more racy, Hibbs will get a little bit closer. Maiga's just dropped off the back of Hibbs, hasn't gone with him this time round. So here we go. What can the Monster do? Now he's on the scene. As through the right-hander he goes. Can the Monster find a way through? He's had a much better run through the last couple of corners here, and they're heading up towards Blanchimont. And Hibbs is now on the scene, so this could get spicy now towards the end of this session. 4 minutes left to go. A lap, 2 more laps I reckon we have left in us. We'll definitely have 2 more laps, sorry. This and the final lap, and Post goes a little bit wide on the exit of Blanchimont as they head up towards the bus stop chicane. As De Monster breaks a little bit earlier. Schwarbert gets to the apex really well, but De Monster's right there. He's right on the back bumper and really looking for an opportunity to find a way through, but cannot find it at this moment in time. As Gillies, I think, has got back out. Marsden has returned to pit lane. But here we go. This is the fight for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Schwarber comfortably out in front and looking good. In 10 minutes time it's going to rain, but it's not going to affect this session. It's staying relatively dry as relatively wet as well. So here we go. That wet weather only going to be lasting for 10 to 15 minutes or however long. It's not going to hit us in this race. It's going to stay wet though anyway, as they see a great run there from De Monster as Post instantly goes defensive to the inside of the circuit, the one part of the circuit where it's a lot wetter. And De Monster obviously will want to stay on the drier line. He's going to look to go around the outside of the next sequence of corners. And a brilliant race in between these two. Post going a little bit deep, trying to get a good exit through there. You see there, De Monster really hustling the back of him now. Good racing between these two as they head down the hill. Up towards No Name they go. And De Monster cannot find the way through. He cannot negotiate that green M2, or as he there, because Post goes a little bit wide through No Name. This is probably the opportunity down the inside of Pouon. It's going to be brave if De Monster can get his nose up the inside. Post is going to give him the racing room. They just about squeeze through the first part of the apex, but Post with the better momentum and there's probably more grip on the outside has stayed ahead of De Monster. De Monster now looking to go up the inside, going into the S's of Campus, then down to heading down towards Stavelot. And now Hibbs is on the attack. So DeMonster went from the attacker and now defender. And he gets a little bit of a bad run through there. Maiga is now on the scene as well. Not much happening else anywhere else on circuit. Wilbrink and Ramsell's really the only other closer fight. But we got these four going at it for the final podium positions. And Hibbs finds an opportunity. Is he going to go up the inside? I think this will be Hibbs' first podium if he manages to get the job done. He's looking to go around the outside through the left-hander of Blanchimont we go, but he could not get the job done. The monster hangs in there, but here comes Maiga now. He's looking for a move. Harris is just 3.2 behind, so anything happens with these guys, there's opportunities for Harris as well. But it's as we are once again. Schwarbert starts his final lap here, but Post is hanging in there. Maiga is hanging the M2 sideways, driving it like he stole it in a McDonald's car park. But they head up towards turn number 1 once again, and Post is hanging in there. Meanwhile, the gaps, Ramsell and Wilbrink, that's come down to 1.8. Is it going to be even lower than that as they cross the start-finish line? Ramsell comes to the line now. 1.8 is the gap. It is 1.7. So they're kind of matching one another. Anderson, once again, also brings the gap down to Millington. So, once again, towards the end of this race, we are seeing things happen. But a comfortable gap out in front is this man, Schwarbert, who's actually looking for the wet patches now. He's looking to cool those tyres down. Is that the case now? Are the tyres starting to overheat? I doubt it, but it looks like Schwarbert was looking for the wet conditions there. So, heading up towards the chicane we go. DeMonster, has he got one more attempt in him? Maiga, has he going to attack Hibbs at the end there? Or is Harris just slowly? The gap was 3.5. He's dropped it down to 2.5. So, the gap is coming down. The game just glitching ever so slightly there. Just looking a bit weird for me at the minute. As Hibbs, I think, is not really going to threaten DeMonster or Post now. It's really down to these two. Who's going to finish where on this one? I do think... Oh, you can see there, DeMonster really pushing the limits. He's trying to find every opportunity. As Post still defending for his life. Oh, he's had a wiggle! He's had a wiggle through Pouon. And that's it. DeMonster down the inside, gets the job done and gets ahead of Post. But can he hold it? That is the question. Post has been defending that. And one little wiggle, one little mistake has caught him out. DeMonster though back up to, well, he's now into second place, not back up. He was not in second place in the first place, but he has moved up. Post meanwhile is now going to be under pressure from Hibbs. He wants the opportunity. Schwarbert though coming down towards the final end of the sector, but Hibbs, can he get him right at the end? Harris, what could he have done with this pace? He's flying now. 1.6 is the gap. He would have caught this group right at the end. Hibbs with a great run though, heading down towards Blanchimont. Can he get a good run through there to then head into the bus stop chicane and jump Post? This is crucial corners now as they head towards Blanchimont. Post negotiates it really well and stays in front, but we look to the man who's been out in front, pole position and fastest lap, led every lap. Schwarbert crosses the line to take his first win in the M2s. Congratulations to him. DeMonster in the end just hanging in there for that P2 position. A great drive from him. Post in third, Hibbs in fourth, Maiga fifth, and Harris in the end 1 second off the back of him to complete the top six. A great scrap there between those five. Ramsell in the end coming home for a solid P7 on that one. A great job from him. Wilbrink exits the final corner to make it a P8 for him. McGowan crossing home in 19th. Gillies crosses 18th. Varga's had quite a lonely race this race, and he's going to finish in 9th place position. So a 9th place position for him, with Millington going to finish in the top 10. Good points for SimPlay Racing in the end. I think the Apex Motorsport outscoring them in that one. Only siders with Anderson crossing in 11th place, with Flop currently sat in that P12 position. Cresbo is going to finish in 13th place position. A good job from him. Aberdeen is going to finish in 14th after being caught up in the first lap incidents, with Smith understeering very wide through Pouon. He's going to finish in 15th, and Paro is going to finish in 16th place position. Marsden returning to pit lane in the end. I think it was only 8 laps around this circuit that we managed to get. but the rest of the guys now coming to the end of this race. And what a good scrap that was. Obviously, it would have been nicer if the guys are a little bit closer. I think due to possibly the first lap incident, we would have seen a much closer fight. But nonetheless, that was a good little race as Flop now comes to the line and it finishes in 12th place position. We're going to go for a quick break while the rest of these guys finish their session, and we'll be back in a few moments time for the second qualifying session of the night. Schwalbert though taking the win for the first time here at SimPlay Motorsport. We'll be back in a few moments time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SimPlay Motorsport, and we are back on live, ready to go racing once again. And conditions have changed once again here for the second qualifying session. A reminder as well that the session right now is only 7 minutes long. A reminder, it took Hibbs about 2 minutes 45. Negative 3 minutes to get around, so he is the first man out on track. He is going to be the first one to set a lap time here if he keeps it validated, but already a minute has gone and they've only now got into sector 2, so this is going to be very, very interesting of who gets a lap in. I think if we're looking at the lap times that what did Schwab put on pole, he did a 2:44, so it's going to be hit or miss if these guys actually make it around. I was not able to text. Great race and great finish. Also, GG guys, says Berserker in the track. Lovely. Loving the conditions, says Tips. It's currently damp. So track is damp at this moment in time. So it's been drying up and there's no more rain forecast currently at the minute. So track is going to get quicker and quicker. If it goes to greasy, the slicks are favoured really over the wets, but it is still on the cusp, so everyone should ideally be on wets. If they're on dries, fair play. If it works, that's the thing. So 2 minutes is gone and we've got 5 minutes left of the session, so they should get 2 competitive laps out of this. Unless you're the guys toward the back, you might get the 1. So I will see who's actually at the very back of this queue. It's the 45. So Paro is the last car right now, and he's currently he's still got to get around in decent time. Hibbs has returned to pit lane, which isn't good. So if he's dropped it and hit the car, he needs to get out now. As is Varga. So whatever happened to those two, they've ended up back in pit lane and they're now having to get out and try and set a lap. So the 33, that is the monster who's crossed the line. He's able to get a lap time on the board pretty quickly and relatively fast. He'll be able to get 2 laps, sorry, is what I'm trying to say, and I can't talk for some stupid reason. But yeah, he's currently on a lap and should be able to get 2 laps in. Fuck, it's that time in a nutshell. Some of the messages in the Discord made me laugh then. So track has now gone to greasy. I possibly think that Hibbs and Varga are gambling on dries. It's dry enough. It's greasy conditions. Track's dry enough for dries. Hibbs, I think, has gone for the slicks. I think he has. Paro now comes into the final corner with 3 minutes and 32 seconds. He can get 2 laps in. Hibbs has got 1 lap. 1 lap in him, and that is it. He'll be done for the session. If he is on those slick tyres, then fair play. Solid job. But it's going to take quite a bit to get that time in. I do follow a couple other people. So I see if I can get any of the other drivers' views. Oh, okay, so another driver has gambled for the dries as well. Paro's going to invalidate his lap time there. Another driver has gone for the dries as well. So, yeah, I think Hibbs has missed the mark there and ended up going back in pit lane to actually, yeah, get the correct tyres on. Berserker, did they get some points if they have the purple during the race? Yes, they get a point for fastest lap. Paro there is really struggling on his lap, so we'll come away from him. The 33, that is the monster. Yeah, dries is the way to go currently at this time. So that currently is the way to go. As the monster is coming through. As I'm trying to find another driver that I know, and I believe they will be on slicks as well, but doesn't tell me. So the monster now coming through the final corner now, and he will get another lap on the board, and that will be his second attempt. Track chase still greasy, so yeah. The monster sets a lap time of a 2:44.8. To be fair, in the wet, Schwarber went faster than that, so interesting. Will Brink crosses line. He's 1.3 off the back of him. Ramsell is a driver to keep an eye on. Hibbs is another driver to keep an eye on. 3.1. McGowan struggling in these conditions at the minute. A couple other drivers just going off in the background. Not sure who that was. Someone had a Larry moment coming to the line. Flop is there towards the line, and Schwarber does a 2:44.2. So he goes fastest once again. He goes to the top of the board. Was it possibly Lee who had a moment? Flop now. He's only 5th with that lap time. Harris comes to the line, and Harris doesn't set a lap time. So he will have to try and find some pace in that car, as Hibbs currently on his lap. Ramsell on a lap. Millington crosses that. Aberdeen crosses the line. 2.2 off the pace as well. So lap times are improving. Gillies is just crossed the line as well. He doesn't set a lap time. I think we got mixed tyre choices here at the minute. The ones who are able to set a lap time, I think, are on the wets. Whoever on slicks, it's very easy to invalidate your lap time and make a mistake. Paro did invalidate because I saw him go wide at the top end of the circuit. But Hibbs, I think he went back to pit lane and he put the slicks on. So I know that for a fact that he's probably on slicks. Now, there are a few other drivers, I'm not going to name who, but they are definitely on the slicks as well. They're the ones to keep an eye on. So Hibbs now, can he get pole position? That is the question. Oh, you can see the curb is nasty, but you can see the dry line even in the dark. You can see it forming. Ramsell was one of the drivers on a dry set of tyres. He's messed up, and he's ended up starting from the back of the pack. Hibbs, has he risked it? Has he put his lap on the line for some slick tyres? You can see the dry line. He's kicked up some water as he heads up towards the final bus stop chicane. He needs to stay on that dry line. He needs to stay away from the curbs. The back end stepping out, complaining. He gets to the line. He puts the power down. Is this going to be pole position? A 2:44.2 to beat. And it's only 7th place. So he does not find the time. The monster now, can he find those magical 0.6 of a second that he needs? To the line he comes, and he finds he only finds 0.3 of a second there. Not a lot there. So at the minute, Schwarber looking good for pole position. Here comes Will Brink to the line. No improvement for him. I think he was on the wets the way he was searching for the water. Here comes Harris. Sorry, he goes P4 with that one. Here comes the 666. That is Miga. Currently lap time not showing up at the minute he crosses line. He does not set a lap. So a few of these guys pushing it a little bit too hard. Here comes Lee to the line. He goes P6 with that one. Crespo's still on the lap, as is Harris. So a couple of guys still to keep an eye on. Anderson goes P11. Where's Harris? He's one to keep an eye on, as Crespo also crosses line. Flop doesn't improve. Harris goes P6 with the slicks. Crespo goes... He goes to P7 with that lap time, so a good lap time from him. The 5.66, that was Varga, and he could only go with 13th with that one. I think, tips in the chat and the saying that mixed conditions makes it so much fun to watch. Yes, it does, and it puts me on edge as well, because I don't have a clue what's going on. But yeah, Ramsell not setting lap time, nor did Miga, nor did Gillies, nor did Paro, nor did Smith. Where did McGowan in the end go? He ended up 9th with that one. So, yeah, as we now have a green track. So it's not going to rain in this one by the looks of things, which is good. Or is it not? I think a lot of the drivers either prefer it to be wet or dry, or the mixed conditions seem to be... favouring some others, but at the minute it is looking very much dry for this one. But a good qualifying there from Crespo, puts himself up into that 7th place position. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Also, have a look at our fantastic sponsors as well, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. All their information are in the description below as well. If you like what you see here at SimPlay Motorsport as well, you want to be a part of the action in the new year, obviously due to the fact that we are pretty much towards the end of our season, we are no longer taking sign-ups currently at this moment in time. But if you are interested in joining us next season and hopefully stay with us with the development of other games that are coming out in the new year, to make sure you're a part of SimPlay Motorsport on the Sim Grid and also in our Discord as well. Have a look at our social media as well, and if you do want to be a part of the Patreon system, then have a look at that as well. As these guys now get things sorted. As away they go, getting themselves ready to go racing in this second race here, and it's looking fairly dry for this one, which will give us a different aspect for this race. And obviously some of these guys would have changed their setup. A lot of the guys would have changed the setup and seen what they can go. A green track still isn't great. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be the grippiest of circuits, but it's a lot better than wet or damp or even greasy, so still could offer some entertaining racing. We may get 9 laps in instead of 8. Excuse me. But yeah, should be an interesting one nonetheless ahead of us. Guys, who are we looking for in this one in the chat? Let's hear from you guys. Who do we think is going to look good on this race? Obviously Schwarber, 2 pole positions already, looking good. A dominant race 1 as well, we're leading every lap, and fastest lap to his name as well. But dry conditions here, has he got it as comfortable as he did in the first race with these drier conditions? That is the question. It doesn't look like it's going to rain anytime soon, so this should be a straightforward race for these guys, rather the conditions anyway. I would have said if we were in Kyalami next week and it was mixed conditions, and obviously if we were drying out, and the way that obviously the climate being in the day, the sun would have dried the circuit out much faster, and we would have seen a lot different race that we just had. But because it was so cold and being a night race as well, and there's no sun to dry the circuit up, and not a lot of cars either, the track never got to the circuit conditions that they would have preferred, and the dry tyres weren't even considered looking at for the first race. But this race, it's straightforward, it's simple, dry tyres. If we started the race on greasy or possibly damp, then we'd be possibly looking at a possible tyre change, but we're not in that case. So we've got Schwarber starting on pole position. This time he's got De Monster for company on the front row with him, with Wilbrink going to be starting in that 3rd place position. Obviously Lee last time out was on the front row, but this time did not manage to get near the front row. Sadly got disconnected before the session even started. But we are about to get things underway very shortly. See there, Schwarber's just picking up the pace to get some heat and temperature in the tyres and his brakes. I bet those tyres are extremely cold. I'll see if I can find another stream so I can actually see how cold those tyres are in these conditions. Yeah, they're not the warmest. Let's put it that way. Not the warmest tyres. As we're about to get things underway here for the 2nd time tonight. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And we're about to get things underway for race 2 here. I gotta remember that the start of this race is on the other side. The other side of Les Sauce, not the the side that I thought it would be. But here we go. It is two cars going at it on the front row. It is Schwarbert and the Monster. Autobahn United versus Only Siders on the front row. Who is going to take the win? Make sure you guys are tuning in, because this is going to be a fun one indeed. Could we see another different winner here tonight, or is Schwarbert gonna take the crown tonight while the MSA boys are having a night off? We shall see as they all exit turn one to start on the other side of Les Sources. We now go to the header count. We are ready to go as we now wait for starters' orders for race 2. We are green and go as we head down towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and straight away Demonster wanted to get straight into the slipstream. Someone starting from pit lane already. That was the 411, and that was car I can't see, sorry, 473, sorry, that was again a car I can't see. That was Lee. He ended up in pit lane again, as we see here Demonster and Schwarbert going at it. The tow helped him out as they head up towards the top end of the back straight, but Schwarbert up the inside will continue through and opposite, but he's gone deep, he's gone wide, and he's gone round. He's nearly ended up in the wall. No, he hasn't. He's kept out of the wall, but the grass is going to be no grip out there, and to the back of the pack he goes. And now Demonster leads this one out. Post in second, and now Harris in that third place position. Will Brink in sixth, and Aberdeen will be moving his way up as well. No, sorry, Hazard, he's dropped down the order as McGowan's worked his way on, and there we see contact with Millington and Varga, and Millington returns back on circuit there, but Lee once again not the start he would have wanted, to the back of the pack. Possibly more internet issues once again, but Schwarbert making a mistake and drops to the back of the pack, and Demonster takes the crown now as he now leads the way ahead of Post, ahead of Harris. And these two going at it already, and Harris looking to go onto the inside, going into the S's, or the camper chicane, and through the inside he goes, but Post is trying to keep his nose there, and he does just about keep his nose there. And he's going to be on the outside of the then outside corner of Stavelo, but he's not going to quite be close enough. And Wilbrink now, and if anything, is coming back with his teammates and trying to work their way onto the back of Harris. But they're now going to be in the tow, but McGowan's turned up on the scene as well. Here comes McGowan, enjoying the drier condition. Hibbs working his way slowly through the pack. Who's that further back? That was Gillies and Ramsell going wheel to wheel. But we now go back to the front. Harris leads this group, but we look at Wilbrink and McGowan. That's where the fight is currently. Track is green, so it's going to be slippery still. It's not going to be the best grip. As we go further back, and we got Anderson versus Maiga. Maiga going up the inside of Anderson and gets the job done. Goes a little bit deep though, but gets the job done. Meanwhile, Ramsell and Gilly still going. Smith goes a little bit deep, and he goes in pit lane, so possibly on the wrong tyres maybe, as they head down towards turn number one, as Crespo now trying to defend off Hibbs, and he's also got I believe that is Aberdeen behind him as well. The 99, yes, that is Aberdeen as well. But Post still trying to go with Harris, as these two are pulled away from McGowan as they go through turn number one and heading up to Eau Rouge and Radion for the second time of asking. Track limits is going to be a little bit stricter this time round. Obviously the wet conditions giving it a little bit more strict, but Aberdeen getting a little bit of pressure from Flop, who's again also seems to be enjoying these drier conditions, as Gillies and Ramsell still going wheel to wheel, as the Marston trying to get onto the back of Schwarbert, but Schwarbert is now starting to extend his gap and work his way through the order. Oh, Crespo there has a snap. He had a moment, he had corrected it, but gets right in the middle of the pack. Hibbs, I can't talk. Hibbs gains from that, as down the inside goes Aberdeen. And also looks like Flop is looking to go up the inside as well. Maiga is also looking to work his way past Crespo in those changeable conditions. Crespo looked very good in these dry conditions. He's under some pressure and he's dropping down the order like a stone in water, just dropping back. There, Maiga goes up the inside, and now Anderson is interested in the position as well. Crespo just struggling at this moment in time. Can Harris do anything about the monster? That is the question. 2.1 is the gap in the wet conditions. They were catching him up. As McGowan now onto the back of Wilbrink. Crespo dropping down the order as Hibbs is now the leader of this group, but Aberdeen's right there ready to pounce, but can't do so at this moment in time. So now the table start to update by sector by sector. And here we go. Hibbs and Aberdeen heading down towards the fast left-hander Blanchimont. I believe Blanchimont is pretty much from 17 to 18, so that whole sector there. Flop having to go defensive as Maiga looks to make a move on him. McGowan was momentarily on alongside Wilbrink, but is lost out, and Flop gets a little bit loose on the exit, and that's going to allow Maiga to possibly go up the inside of turn number 1. Here we go. Towards number 1 we go, and Aberdeen meanwhile has got Hibbs up the inside of turn number 1 of La Source. And there we go, Flop losing the position there to Maiga. Maiga gaining, but now right behind them is Crespo. Meanwhile, Hibbs is coming back at Aberdeen as they go down through Eau Rouge and Radion. Aberdeen not brave enough to go up the hill with them as Flop right under the back bumper of Maiga as they send it up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Ramsel meanwhile goes a little bit wide. He takes track limits there. He has to give that time up as Ramsel does yield and allows Gillies to get the run. By the looks of things, yes, he will, and Gillies will go through as Anderson was earlier putting his way up the order, but he's dropped back as Aberdeen goes around the outside of Hibbs. And once again, we've got this great little scrap between these guys. Oh, you see there, Maiga's really got the car sideways as the track's still not gripping up at this moment in time. There's not a lot of grip out there, and Crespo right on the back of these guys. So once again, we've got a great little scrap between 5 cars. Meanwhile, out in front, the monster quite comfortably in front, and as fastest lap of the race too. His name Harris there in second. He's been hunted down by Post bit by bit, and Wilbrink has got McGowan still for company. Then we got this gaggle of cars with Aberdeen ahead of Hibbs, ahead of Maiga, ahead of Flop, and ahead of Crespo for your top 10. Gillies now ahead of Ramsel with Anderson just behind them. Varga having a scrap with Schwarbert, who's on a recovery drive after starting on pole position and dropping to the back of the pack. And Paro sat in 16th. Marsden currently 17th at the minute, with Millington in 18th and Smith in that 19th place position. I believe we've lost Lee once again, so we've lost Lee from this session. Meanwhile, McGowan still giving Wilbrink a lot to think about as they go towards the back end of this circuit. Coming through Blanchimont, can he get the run that he needs to find a way past Wilbrink to send up the inside of the chicane? McGowan takes a lot of inside curb. It's unsettled the car slightly, but he's still got good momentum. He's still got good pace. But he's not able to find a way through. Meanwhile, we've got Hibbs and Aberdeen pulling away from Maiga, who's got Flop and Crespo for company. And neither of them can find a run on them. Ramsel just losing out to Gillies here. He's under pressure from Anderson as Schwarbert has cleared Varga, and his next target is Anderson himself. McGowan still keeping Wilbrink in close quarters as the monster 2.8 ahead of Harris at the minute. But anything can still happen in these early stages of this race. I say early stages, we're coming up to the halfway stage of this race. It's all a little bit spread out as Maiga's actually lost the position to Flop. And now Crespo is on the back bumper of Maiga as they go through Eau Rouge and Radion. But he's not close enough. Meanwhile, Hibbs has had a poor run through there. And Flop is now attacking Hibbs instead. So Hibbs had to go defensive. And Flop looks to the outside, but can't quite get the run he needs to get alongside the Greasy Bandits driver. Further back, Schwarbert is now passing Anderson towards the outside of turn 4, and they've both gone deep through there, and Varga is obviously going to gain a little bit of time on those two, but not significantly enough to really threaten them. Ramsel is then next for Schwarber. Can he get him towards the next couple of corners? Meanwhile, Post has lost pace slightly to Harris, who's kind of matching the monster at the minute out in front, but McGowan's still giving the Wheelbrink something to think about and a bit of a hard time. Flop, meanwhile, went from attacking Hibbs to now defending from Maiga. So these guys seem to be ebbing and flowing from one another. 1 minute is one attacking, and next is another one defending. So it's really flowing between them at this minute, as Schwarber now bringing that gap down to Ramsel, but not significantly enough currently. As the monster now extending the gap in the middle sector to Harris. So no real close fights at this time, as Maiga gets close to Flop, but is not really close enough to mount an attack right now. He just needs to get in that toe, get in the slipstream. So go through Blanchimon. And they're all just getting their cars a little bit sideways as Flop goes very wide through the exit of Blanchimon. And Maiga is going to be very interested in that one. And McGowan once again gets close, but not really close enough to do anything to Wheelbrink. This is the problem with these cars. They're just struggling in certain sectors, and obviously McGowan's carrying weight as well, so it's probably hurting him quite significantly as well. So we'll see how that will affect him towards the end of this race, as the monster is still 2.8, so he gained time in the middle sector, but then lost it again in the final sector. So kind of a fair match between Harris and the monster. Currently, the Harris though can't get within a second of him to get that slipstream. If he was able to get the slipstream, I think we might be having a good little scrap between them. Meanwhile, Schwarbert is now racing with Ramsel, and Ramsel losing out to him as he goes through and up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. There you go. And Ramsel and Schwarber really pushing the limits as they head up the hill. Ramsel having a better run through the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. He's going to look to the outside as Schwarbert and Ramsel go wheel to wheel. Ramsel obviously having a better exit. He's going to try and out-drag him into the corner and out-break him if he can. And he manages to do so. So good move around the outside. Fair move there from Ramsel. And Schwarbert slows down his progress a little bit more. Meanwhile, Aberdeen's gone a little bit wide, but manages to cut the nose back in and get a good exit and pull away from Hibbs a bit more. But Flop now giving Hibbs something to think about. We now see McGowan still hampering the back of Wheelbrink. Oh, Wheelbrink has a slight wiggle on the exit there of Pouon, and McGowan momentarily looks like he had a threat going into the S's of Campus, but can't get quite close enough. And again, McGowan's nose is closed off. Hibbs, meanwhile, still under pressure from Flop and Maiga. Crespo, though, has stuck with them, has gone very well indeed, but has not been able to really stick with them. Ramsel holding off Schwarbert, which is good to see. Schwarbert looking very fast earlier on, but he's caught up to the back of Ramsel to try and get in the top 12, and it's just kind of hit a wall momentarily. Ramsel there goes a little bit wide then, and Schwarbert's going to get a better exit out of the right-hander. Ramsel there has to go to the inside, try and defend as much of Blanchimon as he can. He's going to be in a tight line. Schwarbert's giving him the space. They're both giving each other racing room. They come up to the fast left-hander. Can Schwarbert do a Verstappen and go around the outside? No, he can't, but Ramsel does understeer and go off. He backs off, and Schwarbert gives him the flash of light, say, look, you took advantage, mate, and he has given him the place, and through goes Schwarbert, gain position there. McGowan still 7/10 on the back of Wheelbrink, but nothing to come of it. Flop again, dropping into the clutches of Maiga after pressurising Hibbs quite a bit again. Fights are really cool in this track, says Berserker. They can be, but I feel like the cars are kind of hitting the limiters and finding that they can't find a way through. Varga and Paro, meanwhile, they're quite close. Attempts separating them, so Paro giving him a little bit of something to consider behind, as Paro's having a better race in this one. as Smith is not registering a sector. That's because he's quite a way back currently at the minute. So, Gillies has ended up in the wall as Schwarbert goes through. I don't know if Gillies was racing Crespo possibly, but he's gone off and ended up hitting the wall as through goes Anderson now as well. Varga, is he quite close enough? No, he's not. But he's had some damage by the listening to his car, so that's not going to help him out. As Ramsel and Schwarbert exchange places earlier on, and now Schwarbert is now using that pace that he has to pull away from Ramsel. It's a shame the rain went away, says Matt. It is a shame, but they're still producing some great racing. A dry circuit, obviously producing a different type of race here. As DeMonster and Harris, again, they're kind of lapping similar at the minute. DeMonster's not really gained much. I think he's gained probably 6/10 over that entire time. With 5 minutes left to go, it's going to be quite a bit for Harris to bring back and post extending the gap to Wilbrink as well. So your top three pretty much secure at this stage. With McGowan ebbing and flowing every now and then to the back of Wilbrink, but not really being able to really threaten him at times. Flop was on the back of Hibbs. He's now got back into the pressure of Maiger, and Ramsel was with Schwarbert, but he's now caught Crespo instead. Paro's dropped behind Varga, or dropped further back from Varga, but Hibbs is back under pressure once again from Flop. Schwarbert now get towards the slipstream of Crespo. As he now head towards the back end of the circuit once again. And Schwarbert in the tow. Can he find a way past and get himself back into the top 10? He looks to the outside of the bus stop chicane, and Crespo's not really fighting it either. He makes it relatively straightforward for him, and Schwarbert goes on through. Ramsel goes very deep and goes straight off as Crespo has ended up in the pits, so maybe low on fuel, possibly underfueled it, maybe, who knows. But in this fight here, Hibbs, Flop and Maiger, as they head down towards the famous corners of Eau Rouge and Radion. Aberdeen pulled well out in front of these guys and disappearing into the distance. Regarding to your classes, a reminder, obviously the boxes are your coloured classes. White means they're in the gold class, a grey one means they're in the silver class, and obviously red means they're in the bronze. Leading gold at this moment in time is your race leader, the 33, ahead of the 34. That's quite satisfying for my brain to enjoy. OCD brain going, yep, 33 and 34 leading the way. So the Monster's leading the gold class. Leading silver is Wilbrink. And leading bronze is Anderson as well. Tibbs there under quite a lot of pressure now off Flop. Millington has caught Marsden, so this could be a fight for a change between 16th and 17th place, as they've now gone past Crespo, who's in pit lane. I'm not sure what happened to him, but we go back to this scrap. McGowan's lost touch to Wilbrink, so I reckon the top 5 are top 6 even are secure, because Hibbs at the minute can't get onto the back of Aberdeen, and Aberdeen comfortably just pulling away bit by bit from this gaggle of cars as they start scrapping. Marsden still trying to hold off Millington at the minute. A race with it in the Pro-Am category. Seems to be struggling a bit in the M2s here in the Whodarron Cup. As Flop tries to get a good exit out towards the Blanchimont section. He's in the tow. Is he close enough to send it up the inside towards the bus stop chicane? The Monster is going to start his final lap.
Leaders on final lap.
Come to the chicane now. Leader starts his final lap. That is the Monster. Crespo has come back out of the pits, but quite a bit ahead of Smith. And Hibbs went in a bit too deep in the chicane. And that's going to put him under pressure from Flop in turn number 1. And Flop is going to have a look towards the La Source corner, but he's not close enough. But he's going to go around the outside instead, try and get a better grip, a better exit, but he doesn't quite get the exit he would have wanted. Oh, Rouge and Radion now. Here we go. Hibbs and Flop. Who's going to bail out? Flop will want to hold on, and Hibbs bails out, but he bails out a little bit too hard and too slow as Maiga now comes up the hill. Hibbs is going to be flashing the lights to say, look, mate, you took advantage by cutting the corner. You need to give up that time. But Hibbs, now defensive from Maiga. And Maiga now going to look to the outside of the right-hander. He's going to be trying to break later. He can't do so, but Hibbs is going to close the door, but he gives him space. Maiga goes off track momentarily, and Hibbs will hold on to that position. Fair racing between these guys. Meanwhile, Anderson's under pressure from Gillies and now Varga as well. So still fights happening up and down the order. Marston is still got Millington as Millington hits the wall and a major damage to his car, and possibly returning to the pits for him. As Hibbs now still defending from Maiga. Since that's happened, Flop has dropped them, and I think he's actually not too far off the back of Aberdeen towards the end of this race, so he's not far. So he can make one more position can Flop here if Aberdeen makes a slight mistake. Gilly still attacking Anderson at the minute to round off top 12. As Varga now joins the party. Oh, Flop makes a mistake by the list of things as Maiga now on the outside of the S's and going to have the inside for the next part. He's going to be on the wrong side of this right Avera Stavolo, but Hibbs holding on to the skin of his teeth here, right to the very end here. McGowan started to bring the pace back down to Wilbrink as well, but we have to go back to your race leader. He's had it relatively easy and simple in this one, and towards the line he comes. Race winner for race 2, and for the first time here at SimPlay Motorsport, De Monster wins here at Spa in race 2. Harris is going to come home for a solid P2 on that one. Post is then going to round off the top 3, all in the 30 numbers. Wilbrink is going to finish in 4th ahead of McGowan in 5th. Aberdeen in the end holds off Flop, and he's going to take 6th ahead of Flop in 7th. Hibbs is going to hang in there for P8 and Maiga in P9. Good scrap between the top, between 6th to 9th. Schwarbert, a good recovery back to 10th after a mistake in turn number 1. And Ramsel going to round the final corner in 11th place position. Meanwhile, Anderson, Varga and Gillies still going at it, and Varga I think is going to get Gillies on the line as Anderson finishes 12th, and it's going to be Varga then Gillies on the line. Paro comes out at the final corner and he goes into 15th place position for this one. Marsden is going to finish in 16th after a little attack from Millington towards the end. Crespo will be in 17th. Smith in 18th, and Millington returning to pit lane after a big incident towards the end of that one. We're going to be back in a few moments time. We'll be back with the 3rd and final qualifying session and a race as well. Don't go anywhere.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third and final race here tonight, and the third final qualifying session, as well as we have got green conditions once again. We've had every type of session that you probably could have thought of, because the track is now green. They've all gone out thinking that it's going to be a wet track, and they've gone out and having to put the slicks on, I think. And I think the weather there in the first session has caught them out, because it said damp. So they put the wets on thinking it was going to be wet, and it turns out it's dry. So, yeah, McGowan's gone a bit straight on at the chicane as well. So, I need to do an update on the current standings, because they've not been updated. Yeah, race 1 and 2 have been very interesting nonetheless. It has been exciting to watch. And looking forward to this third and final session as well. I'm not sure what has happened to the points there. I think it's because the drop scores haven't taken into effect just yet. So I believe, yeah, I'm going to leave that for the moment in time. But it does look like some of the drivers have brought that gap down. It's the same Apex Motorsport team who are participating in the IMSA races. Not a clue. Not a clue. I'm not sure what that reference is. But we have lost, actually, another driver, I believe. We did have 20. We're down to 18 now. As I'm trying to do a quick scan to see who we've lost. We've got Ramsdell, Hibbs, Flott, Schwarber, Anderson, Post, McGowan, Meiger, Cresbo, DeMonster, Wilbrink, Harris. It's Vargo. No, Vargo's still there. We've still got Millington as well. I'm not sure who we're missing there, but we are missing another driver. I'm trying to figure out who it is, but it's not Marsden. Back, actually, see who... Smith. I believe we're missing Smith from this one. Yes, we are. Rob Smith has not made this race, so he will not be in this next session. As now, McGowan's going to be the first one to set a lap time here. He's got Aberdeen for company behind him, and Aberdeen's nearly gone straight on at the first, at the second chicane, but manages to keep it together. But McGowan is on a lap. Anderson back in pit lane. He's got 3 minutes to get out. As they head down into the far end of the circuit, 3 minutes left of this session. Every car on track, including Marsden, I think, as well, when he crosses the line, will be able to get another lap time on the board. As we now wait for these lap times to come in here at SPA-Francorchamps. Problem with a really long circuit, you spend a while waiting for the drivers to come around to complete 2 laps. So we'll see where they all finish in this session. Some wind in this session as well. We've got 4 kilometers an hour wind going in all sorts of directions. So we're just waiting for the first couple of laps to be completed, as McGowan is now heading through the right-hander and heading up towards the Blanchimont sequence of corners. here comes McGowan now through Blanchimont, and now looking to come up to the bus stop chicane. He's going to set the benchmark if he's not gone invalidated on this lap, and Aberdeen has been keeping him company just behind him using the slipstream. Obviously he messed up the first the second part of the first sector, as McGowan sets the pace at a 2:41.1, and Aberdeen only 2/10 off after making a mistake as well. Ramsell returned to pit lane, obviously with possible wet tyres on and not the right tyres. So lap times coming in thick and fast. Maiga goes fastest overall with a 41.1, and Harris does a 39.9, nearly 1.2 faster than anybody else as he crosses the line to go top of the session. Wilbrink only 7th with that one, as they will start their final laps here. Post crosses the line, he's 3rd with his lap time. As who's that? As Harris, he's going back into pit lane. He's done. Gillies goes up into 7th place with that lap time, as Hibbs then takes that away from him and takes that 7th place back. Millington just ahead of Hibbs there. So it's really been a mix and match session for these guys. As down towards the back end of the circuit they go. So a lot of cars still not able to put a lap time together yet. The 69 is that? Yes, it is. Ramsell obviously had to go into the pit lane early. Has he got a lap time on the board? He does, and goes P8 with that one. And now we just wait for Marsden now to come and set a lap in the 4:20. Into the final chicane they go. RK, not the same name, sorry, actually Apex Racing Team. As Marsden now goes 12th with that lap time. So now we wait for them all to come around once again. Harris, though, thinks it's good enough for pole position. He is in pit lane. We've lost another driver there in the midst of all that. I'm not sure who we lost. Who's at the front of this queue? I think it's the 99. Yes, it is Aberdeen. I think. Did we lose? Yes, we've lost Millington. Not Millington, sorry. We've missed McGowan. So we've lost McGowan in that one. Hopefully you'll be able to get back into the session. It was just a genuine disconnect. Should be able to get back in, no problems. And I believe he did. As we now come to the guy. Yeah, he did. So Aberdeen now on a lap. So Millington will, McGowan will not improve, so we now wait to see what the times are going to be here towards the end of this session. Aberdeen, can he take pole position away? He crosses the line now and stays 6th. No improvement from him. The 33, that is the monster. What can he do? Is he going to take pole away? He doesn't improve either. So is this Harrison's first pole? Flop goes to P2 with that one. Maiga didn't improve. Post now coming to the line, as is, I believe, Crespo just ahead of him. He gets lap time on the board. Is Post going to take pole? No, he goes 3rd with that one. Who we left with? The 5.66. That is Varga. Has he found any more time? He only goes 8th. Now we look to Hibbs. 10th currently at the minute. 45 has just invalidated his lap time, and that will be Paro. So Hibbs, can he take pole? No, he stays where he is. It is now just down to Ramsell. Can he steal a shocking pole position towards the end of this session? He just needs to get through Blanchimont without going too wide. Towards the line, towards the bus stop chicane he goes. Harris currently on provisional pole. Into the chicane, he's cooked it a little bit. He's taken a lot of time through the chicane. Now he wants a good exit and then run to the line. Is Ramsell going to steal pole? He goes 4th with that one, so a good qualifying session nonetheless for Ramsell. But it is Harris who's on pole position by 1 second as well from Flop this time round, and Post towards the front again on this session. Ramsell P4 on that one. He's going to be happy with that qualifying session. So now the drivers will be getting themselves ready to go racing for the 3rd and final time here tonight. And so Motorsport drivers, who you think is going to win this one, guys. It is going to be a good final race here. Anyone can take. We have 3 different winners here. We shall see. 1 second is beautiful, says Berserker in the chat. I reckon Harris is absolutely loving that. Speaking of Harris, let's have a run through of the grid order. Harris is on pole position for the first time tonight, with Flop alongside him on the front row. Post will start 3rd with Ramsell in 4th. Maiga start 5th with McGowan in 6th. DeMonster starting in 7th with Aberdeen in 8th. Varga in 9th with Crespo in 10th. 11th is Hibbs, with Gillies is in 12th. Wilbrake in 13th with Schwarbert in 14th place position. Marsden in 15th. Anderson in 16th. Millington in 17th. 18th is Paro. And that is it for your drivers. We lost Lee earlier on. And I believe we lost someone else as well. We lost Smith as well. As is Harris doing it for FBR on pole position for this one. As they pull away to get things underway and ready to go racing here. Still all sorts of great action yet to come this week, guys. Hopefully Matthew Duffin's internet will sort itself out and be able to bring you all the action for tomorrow night, with the Pro-Ams then taking on Spa-Francorchamps at night with Matthew Duffin and Gray Langley giving you all the action for that one. And then on Thursday night as well, we'll bring you the action, Matthew Duffin again for the pros, as they will be hitting the circuit. And who will come out on top of that one? That is the question. It's going to be an interesting race this week. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And if you want to be a part of the action as well here at SimPlay Motorsport in the new year, then have a look at our SimGrid and our SimGrid and our Discord page as well. If you have a look in there, you'll be able to see what everyone is up to, and in the new year possibly have able to join you in the server. We won't be able to add any more drivers into this season, as this season we're towards the end. We've only 10 rounds this season. Shortening it makes it so much more important for each round for guys to score points. We don't want it ruined, as all championships currently at the minute are all still available. So well, we welcome new drivers. It's just not something we like to see towards the end of the season, just to make it fair on everyone who is participating and is up for the title. Final preparations for these guys. The weather's looking fairly dry once again for this third race. Who's going to take the win on this one? Harris, though, starts on pole position for the first time this season in the M2s. We'll see if he can turn that into a race win. It's been a while since we had Harris take a race win. It'd be nice to see him back on the top step of the podium. But can Flop or Post stop that from happening? That is the question. Or can any others as well? There's a lot of drivers here that could take the win. It is open to absolutely anyone and everyone here, and yeah, we'll see how this all pans out. Beto evening, looks cold. It's very cold. That's why I got the heating on in my room. I'm joking, but no, it has been a cold night. It's been a wet night as well. It's been a very interesting night's worth of racing, and we still got more fun to come yet for this final race. Team FBR on pole position with Michael Harris. Who is it going to be on top? That's the question towards the end of this session. Two different winners. Can we get a third? As they now head up towards the bus stop chicane for the final time this evening. They get themselves prepped and ready to go here at Spa. Next round of the championship, we head to South Africa for the next round of the championship. We head to Kyalami, to the most dreaded curb in possibly ACC history. That is the Cheetah towards the end of the sector. I'm looking forward to seeing these M2s race around there. Should be quite entertaining indeed. But it is all about this final race here, and all the action still to come for the Pro-Ams and the Pros later on this week as well. Michael Harris starts on pole with Flop starting alongside him as we now get things ready to go racing for the final time here tonight in the M2s. We are now going to wait for starters' orders as we get things underway here at Spa. And we are green and go, racing here at Spa for the third and final time. And straight away post blocks off Ramsel as they head up towards the Oru chicane, and Maiga just gets ahead of Ramsel as they work their way up to the top of the hill. All working their way cleanly through that for the first time this evening. No silly incidences as they head up to the top of the hill. As the Monster looking to work his way up the order, looking to the inside, but Harris with the start he would have wanted, and Flop following him in position as well. A very clean start from everyone here as they head up towards the first couple of corners. A couple of guys going a little bit wide. That was Wilbrink going deep into the chicane, not making any contact with any of the drivers, and a good clean start from all as you get things underway here at Spa for the third and final time. Harris though in the lead ahead of Flop, ahead of Post, with Maiga just behind them. Ramsel in 5th, McGowan in 6th, the Monster in 7th, and Varga in 8th. Hibbs 9th, 10th is Crespo, Gillies is 11th, Aberdeen is 12th, Wilbrink from Masters dropped it, so it's then Schwarbert, Anderson, Millington, Paro, and then is that Anderson dropped behind Millington? Yes, it is. So Anderson's dropped behind Millington in that one, but they head down towards Puon for the first time. Harris with the start he would have wanted, and pulling away quite a bit from Flop. Oh, as Varga there gets the brakes a little bit wrong through there, and I think even Schwarbert got his brakes a little wrong. Yes, he did, and he ran wide, and that's allowed Wilbrink just to pull away a little bit, and here comes Millington to bring the gap down ever so slightly. Harris those made a mistake in the second sector, or the exit of the second sector, and here comes Flop now on the attack, as is Post and as is Maiga as well. So they're all concertinaing up quite a bit as they head now through the Blanchimont corners. Through the left-handers they go through. Harris holds off Flop momentarily, but Maiga is the one on the move. He's looking to make a move on posts as Ramsel is having to defend from McGowan as well. McGowan's going to try and brake later. He goes just within track limits, and contact made between him and Ramsel, and up the inside goes the Monster and now Varga as well. So they will go through as Hibbs works his way through the order as well. But Hibbs, the only one to set a fast lap with that one, as the Monster and McGowan go wheel to wheel very close to one another. And McGowan's trying to hold on to the inside, gives the Monster a little bit of a shove, and the Monster gains the position there. Flop meanwhile just drops off the back of Harris. He's then got Post still with him, and now wheel to wheel goes the Monster and McGowan, and McGowan's gonna have to yield that one, I think, and he does, and the Monster goes through. Good start from everyone close as well. McGowan now and Ramsel going at it once again, and Ramsel will get the better run up the hill and will gain that position back. Position gain for him. McGowan has to try and come back at him at a later stage, but looks up to the inside. No gap for him momentarily there. They're all constantly up behind the back of Ramsel. Meanwhile, Flop has brought the gap back down to Harris once again. And Harris and Post and Michael all close for the top 4. The Monster now looking to try and bring that gap down. McGowan's got the pressure of Varga and Hibbs just behind him. Momentarily Aberdeen looked up the inside for Crespo momentarily, but Crespo goes a little bit wide on the exit of No Name. Marston's just dropped to the back of the pack. And Schwarbert still on a recovery drive at the minute. Currently 14th race 1 winner, working his way up the order. Harriso, can he hold off Flop and Post to get his first win of the season? As they go through the chicane now, heading down to the right-hander of Stavilo. Flop there having a better run through the right-hander, not able to get the slipstream that he probably would have wanted. Meanwhile, further back you see Gillies going a little bit wide. That's now going to open the door to Wilbrink to come up the inside. He's then got Schwarbert in tow. They're going to make it 3 wide. Further up ahead, Crespo's going wheel to wheel with Aberdeen, heading towards the Blanchimont corner. Crespo backs out of it momentarily. Wilbrink goes around the outside, goes off track limits. Gillies is going to get that position, and Schwarbert sneaking his way through the inside, now to the outside of the bus stop chicane. As Wilbrink tries to brake later, but think better of it. Schwarbert, though, gets a position on him, and Gillies turns in on Schwarbert, and Schwarbert's around. So the recovery drive was going well until that moment. He's now dropped to the back of the pack. As now your top 5 now, as De Monster's now turned up on the scene, are all close to one another. Harris at the minute just struggling to pull away in this race. So Flop at the minute is sticking with him, but no opportunity has arisen for Flop to find a way through on Harris. The Monster, though, flying fastest lap of the race, and he's on the back of the pack. Can he make it 2 wins tonight, or are we going to have 3 different winners this evening? That is the question. Varga, meanwhile, got Aberdeen for company. And Millington now just attacking the back of Wilbrink. As Marston on the back of the pack, working his way back up the order, working his way to the back of the pack. Schwarbert's got a bit of time to gain as well. There's a little contact earlier on, but your top 5 are closest. Harris actually now starting to break away from Flop. And Post obviously just losing touch. He's been there or thereabouts. I think he's been the most consistent here tonight, has Post. So possible driver of the day for him. But the Monster right on the back bumper of Maiga. A lot of drivers here deserving driver of the day. Really been a good night's worth of racing from all. The Monster still sticking to the back of Maiga. Still a long way to go in this race. 13 minutes still on the board. So can Varga find a way on Hibbs? Hibbs obviously trying to defend as best he can from Varga as they go heading up towards the Blanchimont section. Up towards Blanchimont. Varga gets a great run through there, but can't seem to find a way through at the moment in time. He's going to have to go to the outside of the chicane. Hibbs there defending heavily from Varga. A night where no MSA is, there's opportunity for 3 different winners here, and Varga really much pushing Hibbs now towards turn number 1 of La Source. He's not going to be close enough to make an attack, I don't think. He thought about it, but no, he's not close enough. He's getting your top 5, all separated by 0.6 of a second at the minute. They're all close to one another. Ramsell just on the back of him, so anything happens between them, there could be a scrap on. Gillies still ahead of Wilbrink, so still all good fights happening up and down the order. the crest they go. Gillies under some pressure here from Wilbrink. Wilbrink's coming back at them. He's got up to the inside, possibly. Not close enough there, is he? Gillies. Oh, and there's a car off. That is that De Monster? Yes, it is. De Monster's gone off. He's made a mistake and he's got damage, so he's dropped down the order and has lost out here. So we're not going to get a repeat double winner here tonight. De Monster and Schwarbert are both out of this one. Who's going to come out on top now? That is the question. Was that Migra and Schwarbert De Monster coming together? The 0.07 of a second was separated between them, so that could intake what happened. As now he's in the middle of the scrap between Gillies and Wilbrink. Wilbrink gaining on them, and now Gillies has got De Monster for company. So put a poll out for driver of the day. Get your votes in on who you think is driver of the day of this night. That's an opportunity with no MSA here, and took that opportunity by the scruff of the neck. By the looks of things, really been racing hard here at Spa. And we've only halfway left to go of this final race here. Anything can happen in these last few minutes of this race. Flop bringing that gap back down to Harris once again, but Harris still comfortably out in front. No real threat come behind, as Aberdeen now still got Varga. He's got Crespo and Varga still for company, as Varga has dropped back behind Crespo. And Varga having a great run through the chicane, actually pretty much pushing the back of Crespo there, but unable to get through there. So Varga definitely got traction, but seems to be struggling possibly in the fast corners, as Wilbrink, Gillies and De Monster still close to one another. Up the hill, Harris and Flop goes. Post just behind them. Here comes Miga as well. He's lost time actually to the guys in front, and Harris is actually catching Miga a little bit here, with McGowan not too far behind. Obviously Miga possibly got together with De Monster. Marsden's ended up back in pit lane, as Varga now trying to catch Crespo, and I believe that is Aberdeen ahead of him as well. Yes, it is. So they're all trying to get onto terms with Hibbs just ahead as well. De Monster probably suffering with front end damage of his car. He's not able to find a way past Gillies. Oh, there's a car off there. That's Crespo by the looks of things. Yes, it is. Big mistake from him. He's going to return back on circuit, and he's going to end up behind at Millington. So that's not worked out for him at all. Just behind him now is Anderson, Paro, and Schwarbert has finally caught the back of the pack. As they head down towards No Name and then Puon. Anderson there going a little bit wide on the exit of No Name. McGowan slowly bringing the gap back down to Ramsell, as they're also catching on the back of Miga. Momentarily looks like Miga may have been coming back at post, but Harris now pulling away from the rest of the pack and looking good this moment in time. They're all able to just flirt with the curbs a little bit more. I think Varga's lost more time to Crespo. Crespo obviously has dropped down the order. Yeah, no, sorry, Varga's dropped back on Aberdeen. So you finally go through the second split and all the times update, as Varga there's looking a little bit under pressure with Wilbrink catching him, as is De Monster. Gillies has dropped down the order. And Crespo's now on the back of Millington. As Post also now brings that gap down to Flop. So Ramsell had to cut the chicane there. He's obviously gone a little bit too deep through there. There's 4 votes currently, and all 4 have gone for either Harris, Post, De Monster and Miga, so 1 apiece for everyone. So gonna have a couple more votes here, but Post now bring that gap down to Flop, As McGowan now right on, he's ahead of Ramsell, so possibly through the chicane. Ramsell had to give up the time, and he's ended up behind McGowan, and Hibbs now on the scene. A reminder to any of the drivers who are listening to the stream, if you have been on the podium at any point this evening, you're more than welcome to join for a chat in the comms. As McGowan, Ramsell and Hibbs now going to be battling it out. Wilbrink, meanwhile, had a much better run through the top of the hill. Varga goes defensive straight away. And up towards the chicane we go. Varga breaks later. Is it too late? Yes, it is. And Maiga, I think that is that Maiga. Yes, it is. So Maiga's made a mistake now. So that's put McGowan up. Where is Ramsell? Oh, there he is. Sorry. So Maiga's made his own mistake, and he's ended up in the pack now ahead of Varga. So Maiga making a mistake there and has now dropped himself back into the pack. So Varga putting pressure on Maiga after his mistake. I don't know if he's got damage to the front end of his car or any part of his car. It doesn't look like it. So he just looks like he's had a moment on the grass. But Harrison's got very deep through the S's there. And that's going to put Flop back on the scene and Post as well. So it's all concertinaing up just at the end here with 5 minutes still left of this session. And there's fights happening up and down the order. Varga's gone wide. Is that going to give Wilbrink the opportunity? Yes, it is. DeMonster now close to the back of him as well. So scraps happening right to the very, very end here. As Varga holds onto that position ahead of DeMonster and can't find a way through. Crespo has passed Millington's, and Millington's dropped down the order. Anderson's going to be close, and Schwarbert's cleared Anderson, so he's moving forward. And here we go, Hibbs, Ramsell and McGowan heading up towards Blanchimont, and Hibbs hitting the brakes ever so slightly, possibly just trying to get the front end to turn in. And Ramsell in the tow, in the pursuit of McGowan up towards the bus stop chicane we go. McGowan holds off momentarily, but back end slips out. Harris though, 2 seconds now away from Flop, and Post close by. Hibbs meanwhile trying to get a better exit out of the chicane to have a look into turn number 1. He's thinking about it, thought better of it, and Ramsell nearly braking a little bit too late and hitting the back of McGowan. Varga meanwhile down the inside of Wilbrink, and DeMonster wanted to get the better exit. Oh, they're going to go 3 wide down the hill. No way. This ain't going to work, boys. This isn't going to work. As DeMonster thought better of it. Varga and Wilbrink are now going to fit into order. And Varga thinks better of it. And he'll pretty much straight line the exit of the chicane. Millington ended up in pit lane. As DeMonster looking to make a move on Varga, but he can't find the way through. As soon as he comes out of the slipstream, he gets a wall of air, and that slows him right down. Meanwhile, Post and Flop pretty much bumper to bumper, so maybe Flop has made a mistake. He's had to yield the time. He's made an error somewhere, and he's now in trouble with Post right behind him. And Post now has got through on Flop. Oh, sorry, just read through the Discord there, and Flop has now lost that position. So Post now back onto second place position. McGowan pulling away from Ramsell and Hibbs as they're having their own little scrap, as Wilbrink is still holding off Varga and DeMonster, and Gilly's not too far away from him either. Paro is on the back of Anderson. So right to the very end, there is scraps up and down the order. Berserker, aggressive ++ in the chat. Post now pulling away from Flop. Harris meanwhile 4 seconds down the road. That's how much time they were wasted racing one another, as Hibbs still giving Ramsell a hard time, as DeMonster is trying to sneak his way past Varga. Varga's going to go quite wide. That's going to hurt him. And there is DeMonster. He's going to try and have the inside going through Blanchimont. And they're going to go side by side, and I think Varga is going to try and hold it strong on the outside, but I think he's not going to get the... He's just gone for it, and there's not enough downforce on that M2, I'm afraid, Varga. And that's going to be an unsafe rejoin, and nearly coming together with DeMonster there. And I think he's going to have to give that time up and that place position, as Varga kept the position by staying off track. And he's going to have to give that time up, I'm afraid. Varga has to give the position back. DeMonster had it done. Would not like to have seen that on board, to be fair, because that would have been scary, seeing a car go 2 wheels through there. And DeMonster can't find a way through still, even with that moment. Hibbs, meanwhile, still right on the back bumper of Ramsell. These two having a great scrap here, but Hibbs carrying possibly a bit too much speed going up the hill, and understeered a little bit wide. DeMonster still giving Varga a hard time again, because they're just holding one another up now, and here comes Gillies on the scene, and DeMonster should have this done. Out dragged down the straight if he can, and down towards the chicane we go. Harris comfortably out in front, 3.4 ahead of post. He just needs to keep it on the tarmac and he will win this one. Varga has gone wide, he's had to cut the chicane, and he now will lose that position. Not just to DeMonster, but will he lose out to Gillies? And Varga still keeps it tight, and DeMonster has to defend the inside, going down to the right hander. And Varga trying to hold on to this position as best he can. He's trying to try and keep that nose alongside, but he's not going to, and he eventually finally loses out as they go into no name. Flopdo has, I was about to say, was catching post, but he's not. If any, that's Millington going wide, so post is quite comfortable, as Harris is still comfortable out in front. And DeMonster now pulling away from Varga. He's got Gillies behind him. Baharo is on the back of Anderson, so the last few scraps happening here and there, as the gaps have now all opened up, except for this fight between Hibbs and Ramsell. Varga goes a little bit wide, loose as well, so Gillies going to have an opportunity to come through. Oh no, Varga's gone wide. Gillies may have a run. Hibbs is in the tow, but here comes Gillies, another a wide run there from Varga. But into the final chicane. 3 different winners here at Spa, and it is going to go the way of FBGB, and it is Harris who wins the final race tonight. 3 different winners here, as Post will come home to take the 2nd place position. Then it is going to be Flop in that 3rd place. McGowan in 4th. Ramsell will hold off Hibbs for 5th and 6th place position. Aberdeen were a solid 7th. Myga in 8th. Wilbrink in 9th. And DeMonster is going to hang on to that top 10 position and fastest lap to his name as well. Varga goes in 11th. Gillies ended up down in 13th, as Crespo goes into 12th. Schwarbert will finish in 14th. And here comes Paro and Anderson, who's going to get it on the line. It's Paro ahead of Anderson, ahead of Marsden, then Millington, and then that is your championship round done here at Spa. As I'll save the highlights here, and any of the drivers that have been in the top 3 want to join me in the comments box for a quick interview, they are more than welcome to. I'll be And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you should see the highlights on the screen, and hopefully I can get the correct settings for the audio as well. Right. Hopefully we should be able to hear one of our interviewees now. We have Michael Harris in the commentary box with us. And Harris, it's been a tricky season in these M2s, but no MSA tonight and a great opportunity to score some points. Talk us about your night, because tonight has really been on edge with the weather, the tricky conditions, the night race. How tricky was that for yourself?
Well, if you want it hard, that's exactly what you get from tonight. We just had every element there was. Obviously, nighttime, rain, dampness, bits of dry here and there. But no, it was a difficult night, but I managed to get the most out of the car. Obviously, more so towards the last two races, obviously podium and race win finally. So that was a nice way to top it off. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Obviously, thanks to the MSA boys for not being here to give us my first W and also another podium. So yeah, but yeah, it's quite an enjoyable night. Pretty chuffed with myself this year. I had zero practice coming into this, so yeah.
Obviously, gotta love a bit of spar action, especially in the wet. When you're going into each session, how like the weather was changing left, right, and centre. 1 minute it was damp, next minute it was wet, next minute it was greasy. How could you predict, or could you predict at all? Was it just more like guess and hope what would be the right tyre, or was it just keep an eye on what's going on with the radar and just choose the right tyre?
It's kind of looking at what the temperatures were like, as well as like the track conditions. So that first race was wet, but I think it was supposed to be dry for the full amount, but the spray was just unreal. Like if you were behind somebody, you could barely see. But going into the qualifying sessions when it was damp, I think the second quali, I attempted slicks, which turned out okay. I got more towards the front. Just adjusted tyre pressures, just maxed them out, just so they wouldn't overheat. And then I did the exact same again in that last qualifying session as well. And shocked myself and probably everybody else to say I was like second ahead. And I felt quite comfortable with that, so I just kept the same setup through that last race, but the tyres were starting to fail towards the end, that's for sure.
But the list of things, you're going to get driver of the day in the votes as well, so definitely a good night's worth of racing. I'm also going to give you driver of the day. You've been very good this evening. Next round of the championship is Kyle Army. We head to South Africa for the next round. Luckily, no more evening, morning, or night races. It's back to normal times. I just think I'm going to get on at Kyle Army and once again just kind of turn up and go with what you got underneath you.
Yeah, pretty much. Just try and find the setup during practice, see how it feels, and then just go from there, really. Make a few tweaks here and there, and fingers crossed. No offense to the MSA boys, but hopefully they don't turn up again. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Like I say, tonight the car felt pretty decent, so it was changeable conditions. So yeah, we'll just see how things go.
Well, nonetheless, mate, a fantastic job for racing tonight. You've been phenomenal, and nice to see you back on the top step of the podium once again. So congrats on this evening.
Yes, finally, thank you.
And no one else coming to join me in the comms box, so that is it for them. For me, the tables have looked a little bit weird for me. I'm not sure why they're looking strange, but either way, I'm going to try my best to kind of read these out as best I can. But the championship standings look like this. Kieran O'Reilly still leads the way, though, as there we go. I think the drop scores have now taken into account, and also the points have probably updated now, as I'm now going to change that. But it was an entertaining race nonetheless for these guys this evening, as yes, the tables have now updated correctly, and it is the way of this. They've not updated correctly, so I'm not even going to bother counting them because it doesn't seem to be working correctly. But either way, O'Reilly still leads here, championship leader, with also Silth in that second place position. De Monster and Posto are separated by a couple of points, as McGowan's close behind them also as well. Orzu is Schwarbert as well. Very, very close for those positions. Like I said, the tables haven't quite updated the way that I probably would have wanted them to do so, but I will get a more up-to-date settings for the guys in the Discord and all later on here at SimPlay Motorsport. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to notify so you don't miss anything here. And we will see you all next time for Kyle Army for the next round of the championships. Pro-Ams tomorrow night and pros following on Thursday. Make sure you follow all the action here at SimPlay Motorsport. But from me and the Whodarron